Okay. It's about 11:15, 11:20 in the morning out on the West Coast, and it's about 1, no, if it's 11, that means it's about 2 p.m. Out on the East Coast. We're going to get started in a little bit. I'm going to let the algorithms get the notifications out. Today, we're going to be talking about wholesaling virtually, and we're also going to compare it to wholesaling in person, and we're going to talk about which one is better, the pros and cons of wholesaling real estate virtually versus wholesaling real estate in person. As always, what I've done is I've created a slide presentation for you. And our first slide, I used Google Labs, Google FX Image Creator. That's their AI photo image generating software. And what we did was I asked it to help me create a Tiffany blue and neon green dragon with a long snout in a navy blue t-shirt wearing jeans. And the t-shirt had the word investor on it in neon green in a college dormitory wearing a VR headset. And it took me a few different attempts at creating this image, but I think it did a really good job of getting the message across, in terms of like doing something virtually using a VR headset. And that's going to be our topic today. Our topic is going to be on wholesaling real estate virtually versus doing it in person, and the pros and cons of both. And we're going to cover all of that stuff. So this was the image that I created using Google AI, their labs, their image effects, and I think they did a really good job of demonstrating what we're going to be talking about today. As always, please do me a huge favor. Make sure that you like this video. Just to make sure that the audio is coming through okay, can you do me a favor and just give me a thumbs up or a fire emoji or a heart emoji? If you're watching us on TikTok, give us some, what are they, Super Mario coins or flowers or whatever it is. Just no eggplants and no peaches, please. Sometimes my wife drops in on these lives. Make sure that you like us. Make sure that you follow us. Over 50% of the people that are watching the content that we are sharing and the content that we're working on for you is coming from people who aren't our subscribers, who aren't our followers, who aren't our OnlyFans. So make sure that you give us a follow. And the last thing that I want to ask, there's no the information that we're sharing with you here is free, but the cost of admission is for you to share this with other people. So if you know of anybody that could benefit from this content, who is interested in real estate, investing in real estate, fixing and flipping, wholesaling real estate, please share this video with them. So for those of you who are just tuning in, give us a like, give us a follow, and share this video so that you can get other people who are interested in this content involved as well. Sharing is caring. Now, I always start our slide presentations or our trainings with a quote, and this was a quote that I heard today listening to Myron Golden. I'm a big Myron Golden fan. I love how he is able to mix a lot of biblical and faith-filled lessons into business. So today he said something. He said, "You cannot control the contributing factors in your life, but you can 100% control the defining factors in your life." And I think we've heard that message said differently in a few different ways, a few different variations. One of those ways we've heard it is you can't control what happens to you, but you can control how you respond to it. So he just made it sound a lot more eloquent, a lot more intelligent, I thought, but it's the same message, right? You can't control what is going to happen to you. You can't control the contributing factors in your life. You can't control the fact that you may have been born into a family that may have come from poverty. You can't control the fact that you may have been born with a disability. You can't control the fact that you may have come from an abusive childhood. These are all things that they contribute towards who you are, but they do not define who you are. And we have tons of examples of people that we can reference who have overcome unbelievable contributing factors. So just bear that in mind. You can't control the factors that contribute to your life, but you 100% can control the determining factors in your life and how you respond to them. All right, now as a reminder, if you don't know, I wrote a book. It's called Deal Like a Dove, Dispo Like a Dragon. Because of the green screen, it does come out a little bit weird when I show it. It is 400 pages on how to build this business, how to invest in real estate using wholesaling as a real estate as a strategy to help you get your foot in the door. I didn't pull any punches. I put everything in there. I'm sorry, I wasn't able to get it into a 20-page PDF. I'm sorry, I wasn't able to get it into a 14-page ebook. It is 400 pages of straight up knowledge from the 30 years of experience I have had as a real estate agent, as a real estate broker, as a real estate flipper, and now as a real estate investor who utilizes wholesaling. And we got it all in this book in 400 pages. If you're watching this on YouTube TV, and interestingly enough, based on the stats, I found out that there's about 5 to 7% of the people that watch this on YouTube TV. That's why I put the barcode there for you so that you can scan the barcode and order the book. If you order it, I'll send you a signed copy, and I will send you a code so that you can listen to it on Audible as well. Now, for those of you who prefer to listen to it on Audible, you can go to, if you're going to purchase the book, you're going to go to dove.dispodragons.com. That's for the paperback version. dove.dispodragons.com. If you prefer the Audible version, go to audible.dispodragons.com. So for those of you that have Audible subscriptions, Audible memberships, you can use 1 credit and you can download the Audible version. I have Tim Alexander, who is an amazing narrator and voice actor, and he did a really good job of giving life to this book. I wrote it from a superhero's perspective, and if you haven't figured it out yet, that emblem on the top I'm paying homage, tribute to Deadpool and Wolverine, the movie. That was the pendant, and we converted it to reimagined it as a dove and a dragon. So there is a big superhero theme present throughout the book, and Tim did a really, really good job of giving life to those words. So you can go to audible.dispodragons.com and you can get the Audible version as well. Now, what you're looking at is a photo of Jay-Z hugging Warren Buffett, and we all know who Jay-Z is. Jay-Z is wildly successful in his own right, and yet he still wanted to leave a bigger mark, a deeper legacy. And so he approached Warren Buffett about being mentored so that he could become not just a billionaire, but a multi-billionaire, and not just a multi-billionaire, but then to also be able to mentor other billionaires. He wanted to talk that billionaire talk. And so he was mentored by Warren Buffett. This is a photo of them in a diner having a milkshake and drinking Coke products, because Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway is one of Coca-Cola's largest investors. So Uncle Warren loves his shakes and he loves his Coca-Cola products. Now, he mentored Jay-Z, and Jay-Z obviously became even more successful than he already was, and not only did he become a billionaire, but he now has other billionaires that he has personally mentored, including people like Rihanna and other business owners who are not necessarily in the entertainment industry. He calls them part and members of the Rock family. Now, why do I discuss this? Why do I bring this up? Because we have a profit sharing mentorship within our organization where you can learn while you earn. You can go to start.dispodragons.com, start.dispodragons.com. This is where you will have a mentor who will walk you through the entire process. This is real hold my hand learning. This is where they will teach you how to do this business, how to generate leads, how to talk to sellers, how to get sellers under contract. You will shadow your mentor as they do this. They will get the deal done for you. They will help you find the buyers for your contract, and you get to watch, sit back, and get paid while they go through this entire process and the entire transaction. You can go to start.dispodragons.com. It is a true profit-sharing mentorship. You as the mentee get a percentage of the profit, and the mentor gets a percentage of a profit. This is not a a JV, a joint venture. There is a difference. During a joint venture, you typically have someone that has a seller under a contract, and then you have someone that brings the buyer together, and you work together as a joint venture, and you put the two together so that everybody can get paid. It is a transactional process. And so most of the time, you don't have a joint venture partner mentor you through the entire process. Could it happen? Sure. Does it happen? It's possible. But it's not the same exact thing. In our system, in our process, you are mentored by a closer on demand. So as opposed to you just going to Facebook groups, Reddit subs, Discords, posting questions, asking for help, and sometimes asking the same question over and over and over and over again, hoping for a different response. You now have someone on demand on your side who wants you to win because they get a percentage of the profits and everybody's happy. Start.dispodragons.com. All right, let's get started. Wholesaling virtually. All right, and if you're just tuning in, again, I used Google AI Labs effects, and we created an image here of our mascot dragon wearing a navy blue t-shirt with the word investor on it in neon green in a college dorm room with dispo posters in the back room, wearing a VR headset for virtually wholesaling real estate, because that is our topic. And we're going to be going over the pros and cons of virtually wholesaling real estate versus in-person wholesaling real estate. Now, if you don't have any idea what wholesaling is, I'm still going to cover it. Wholesaling is essentially where you find a seller who has an interest in selling their property. You get that seller under contract, you make them an offer, you get the property under contract, you then find a buyer to purchase the equitable interest, the assignable interest in that contract. You are not selling the property, you are selling the rights to that contract to an end buyer, to an investor, to a fix and flipper, to a buy and hold investor, to a BRRRR investor, to an Airbnb investor, a fractional investor, a co-living investor. These are all the different types of investors that would be interested in purchasing the equitable rights to that contract if you negotiated it at a price that still makes sense for you to be able to put a fee on top and sell it to them, right? So let's just break it down. I'm going to dumb it down. All you're doing is you're looking for a house that you can get for about $100,000 and then sell to an investor for $120,000. That's it. That's the process in a nutshell. Now, I put this slide up because sometimes you will hear people say negative things. A lot of times it's from real estate agents. Now, as a real estate agent, as a real estate broker, as a broker that employed 150 real estate agents at one point, I will tell you that you will hear things like you're an equity thief. And as real estate agents, we often heard that we are ambulance chasers, opportunity seekers, nothing but professional door openers. These are all the things that people will call you in your profession. I mean, let's be honest here. It's not like attorneys aren't criticized or called names as well. So one of the names that we often are called, that I've heard as a real estate investor who wholesales, is that you might be called an equity thief. And I want to debunk that right now. Let's just say that you were at a yard sale. And at that yard sale, you're sifting through a box of basketball cards. And in that box of basketball cards, you happen to find a 1984 PSA rookie card, mixed in there. And you get it. And now you know that this card, right, unsigned, we're not talking about the signed ones. The signed ones are worth millions. But let's just say an unsigned card in pristine condition is in a shoebox. And you know that that card is probably worth about $900,000. Now, you ask the person who's holding the yard sale, how much do you want for this card? And they say, well, you can take the whole box for $50. Just take the whole box, $50. And you know that that card is included in the box. Now, you pay the seller, the person at the yard sale, $50 for that box of cards. You recognize the value in that card. You paid it. You paid $50 for it. It's worth $900,000. Did you steal equity from that seller selling that box of basketball cards in their home, or did you just see opportunity there that the seller didn't necessarily didn't see or understand or even care about? right? It's it's the same concept here. It's the exact same thing. The seller who sold that card at that yard sale got what they wanted. They got the 50 bucks that they wanted for that box of basketball cards. You didn't take advantage of them. You gave them exactly what it was that they wanted. Now, if you go and you redeem this basketball card and you sell it at an auction house, like a Sotheby's for 900,000, 500,000, whatever it is that it sells for, you didn't steal that person's equity. They got what they wanted. You paid them their fair asking price, and then you made off with a Michael Jordan, 1984 rookie card. Okay, that's the business that we're in as well. Okay, so let's talk about virtual wholesaling versus in-person wholesaling. Now, in-person wholesaling, what are the benefits and the advantages? Well, the advantages of in-person wholesaling is that you can look at the property yourself, you can touch and feel the property yourself, you can walk the property yourself, and you have a bunch of backyard knowledge, especially if you are working in your backyard. You are working your local market. You know your local market way better than you doing this virtually. So, you know the rough spots. You know where the house butts up to a freeway. You know where there's a lot of, God forbid, gang activity. You know where, there's drugs being sold. You know all of this stuff because it's in your backyard. And the flip side is true too. You also know where, they have the best restaurants. You also know where, the exclusive hotspots are. You also know where, for those of you who like to use the word bougie, you know where the bougie spots are too, right? You know this stuff when you are wholesaling real estate in person. And that is an advantage, being able to know these things, okay? Now, you can still wholesale virtually in your own backyard too. This is important because there's no rule that says you are obligated to go see a property just because it happens to be within driving distance. Now, think bigger here for just 1 second, okay? Just for 1 second, we're going to dream big and we're going to think a little bit bigger here. If you build this business to the degree where you can scale it at what some very, very successful real estate investors and wholesalers and flippers have been able to scale this to, and you've got, 7 to 10 properties that you're working on at any given moment, then chances are, in order for you to get those 7 to 10 using a ratio of 1 to 3, that means you've had to talk to, visited, worked on between 21 to 30 different property sellers that you may have had to have seen. Okay? During the day, you have other things that you have to do. And so for you to have to go to all of these 30 different projects, 30 different appointments, 30 different meetings every single day can be very time consuming. You're not obligated to go and visit each of these properties. There's no rule that says you have to be there in person. You can still work virtually, even in your backyard markets, and you're probably going to want to do this as your business starts to scale. As a former and current REO broker, meaning that I used to represent a lot of the banks when they were foreclosing on properties and I was selling their properties, the foreclosed properties on. There were plenty of times where I did not personally go and visit these properties myself, but members of my team did, and they went back and reported to me the condition of the property, the status of the property, the repairs that needed to be made. They took photos, they took videos, and we would analyze them together. There's no reason that you can't do the exact same thing virtually in your own backyard as you start to scale. I'm not suggesting that you do this from the very beginning, because there is something to be said about visiting these opportunities, about speaking directly to the seller, about shaking a seller's hand, or an agent's hand for that matter. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And seeing any of these homes, okay? So just understand, you can still do this virtually even if the property happens to be in your own backyard. Virtually wholesaling is where you identify opportunities from your couch, your dining room, your bathroom, your backyard, wherever you want. Starbucks, coffee shop, wherever you want. That's why it's virtual. You can do this anywhere. While you're driving, in the car, in rush hour, using your phone. Yep, all of that. I'm not saying that you should. I'm not saying that you shouldn't. I'm just saying that it's possible. It's virtual, right? That's how you do it. Do you need a license to do this? This is a great question, and this is something that pops up a lot. Do I need a real estate license to do this? And the answer to that question is no, yes, no, yes, no, yes. Okay, let's talk about that. So there are many states that are now incorporating rules, laws, regulations, and registrations requiring that wholesalers register and or get licensed in those states. So if you are going to be working this business virtually in those states, then yes, you're going to have to get licensed. You're going to have to register yourself. These are all the things that you are going to have to do if you want to play in the sandbox with all of the big kids. Part of the process, okay? So you're going to have to do these things. Now, if you are going to be building a business and you're going to be scaling this business and you're going to be operating this business in multiple states, then it can be a little challenging having to get all of the licenses in those states. And not to mention getting all of those licenses in those states, but then there's also going to have to be continuing education, which are additional online courses that you'll have to take in order to maintain your license and keep it in good standing. This is just part of the process. So, I remember, and this is going to show my age, but there was one individual who I met during the early 2000s who used to work for a big lender called Ditech. And if you've been in the business for a while, then you will have remembered those commercials from Ditech where there was this heavy set guy who used to wear glasses. Intentionally, they made him look a little nerdy. And his commercial or his brand was, "We lost another one to Ditech." That was the commercial because they were a big lender, a big bank that would do home loans. All right, and so I remember meeting. Eventually, Ditech either got bought out, merged, or they may have shut down. But I remember meeting one of the gentlemen who stepped into my office, who worked for Ditech, and he was the chief licensee. So he was the one getting all of the licenses for Ditech in all of the states. And he was telling me, he was licensed in about 47 different states to be able to do loans on behalf of Ditech. So his name was on the state registration as the licensed broker, lender, whatever title we would give him. But he was the person that was in charge of getting those licenses for Ditech, and he was the one taking all those exams. He was the one studying. He was the one doing all the continuing education, and he was telling me that that was a full-time job, just doing all of that. So why do I get into this topic? Well, because if you're going to be operating in multiple states and it does require a license in those states, then you're going to have to get the license, or you can find a partner that can get you those licenses in those states. Or you can find an existing real estate agent that operates in those states, and you bring them aboard and you create a joint venture between you and that agent, and you operate together so that you don't necessarily have to worry about having to get licensed in all of those states that you want to do business in. So it's up to you. You can either get the license or you can partner up with somebody else who has a license and work together out there. All right, that's how you solve that. Do you need an LLC? No. You don't necessarily need an LLC. Do you want an LLC? Sure. At some point you do. You're going to want to have an LLC for a variety of different reasons. Number one, to protect yourself in the event of any lawsuit. But number two, also because of the tax advantages. Now, I'm not going to give you any tax advantages. I'm not going to give you any legal advice. Please don't confuse anything that I'm sharing with you as legal advice or as tax advice. I'm just saying that at some point you're going to want to get one for the tax benefits. Talk to your accountant about it. But don't let not having an LLC prevent you from getting started. Don't let not having an LLC, don't use that as an excuse to tell me, oh, I can't really get to work, or I don't want to call anybody right now, not until I get my LLC. There will never be the right time for you to get started in this business. The finances won't be right. The economy won't be right. Your education won't be right. Your licensing won't be right. Your personal and your private life won't be right. It's never going to be the perfect time for you to start this business. So you might as well not use this as an excuse either. You don't need an LLC, but it can help you down the road. Be strategic with the selection of your market and the time zone that you are going to operate in if you're going to operate virtually. Now, what does that mean? That means that if you're going to pick a market and you work your 9 to 5, and then you come home and from 5 to 9, you work on your dream, you work on your business, you work on your real estate investing arm, right? If you're going to be doing that, and if you're out on the East Coast, well, you can take advantage of the fact that you've got from 5 to 9 to work the Central, Mountain, and West Coast markets. Now, if you're on the West Coast, right, it's a little different. On the West Coast, you can wake up earlier. All right, don't use that as an excuse that you have a 9 to 5. You could wake up at 5:30, you could wake up at 4:30, and you can already start working the East Coast markets because they're 3 hours ahead. So all I'm saying is be strategic with the selection of your market and your time zone, so that way you can still be able to work. Don't let you having a 9 to 5 be the reason that you don't get started on this business. You can still work this business. There are plenty of ways to do it. Oh, and by the way, there are plenty of ways to do outreach to sellers that aren't necessarily as restrictive on time, with an asterisk, okay? Because there's a lot of new rules and a lot of new laws that prevent you from doing outreach. If you send out emails now outside of normal business hours, I've even seen an attorney on Instagram that now helps people file lawsuits against people who send out emails outside of traditional business hours, which could be anywhere from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. or 9 p.m. I'm not really sure, but these are the things that are happening. So just make sure that you're taking advantage of the right time zone so that you could benefit from that, and you don't use that as a reason or as an excuse not to get started, okay? Pick one strategy. You're either going to go direct to seller, or you're going to go direct to agent, or you're going to go direct to seller. So a lot of times people will talk about DTA, direct to agent, or direct to seller, DTS, not DTF. I didn't say DTF. I'm going to let that one just coast it. All right, direct to agent or direct to seller. Okay, those are the two different strategies. So you're either working with agents or you're working with sellers. Direct to agent pros. One, sellers already raising their hand, right? If you've got a seller that put their property on the market, then you already got someone that is saying, I want to sell my house, right? That's it makes it easier. They're easier to find. And if you don't know it, we have a tool that you can buy for $10. I call it the Zillow Zapper. It is a spreadsheet of every keyword or every key phrase that an investor would be looking for, including cash, bank-owned, bankruptcy, probate, trust, needs TLC, needs repairs, as is, for sale by owner, tenant occupant. I mean, every word that you can think of that an investor wants to see in the comment section for every state, okay, all 50, and it'll save you a bunch of time instead of you having to set up these filters and look for things and scour through a whole bunch of listings that aren't even going to apply to what it is that we are doing. You can go to Zillow.dispodragons.com, Zillow.dispodragons.com. It's $10. These are predetermined searches with those keywords in them for all 50 states. It took a long time to create this. Oh, and it operates in real time. So as those filters change or as listings change, they become active or sold, they're automatically updated. Right? I mean, for $10, come on. It's a no-brainer here. Zillow.dispodragons.com. Direct to agent cons. Number one, an agent's duty is to get the seller the highest price possible. A real estate investor, what they want is they want to get the lowest price possible. So you have two completely opposing forces. You've got an agent that wants to get the highest price possible and an investor that wants to get the lowest price possible. Hopefully somewhere we meet in the middle, right? I say this all the time. This is not about win-lose or lose-win. That's not what this is about. This is about trying to create a win-win strategy for everyone that is involved. An agent's job is to try to get the seller the highest price. So it does create a challenge and a little bit of a resistance to the investor. That's one of the cons. Won't even present. All right, so there are some agents that are going to tell you, I'm not even going to present that offer to my seller. All right, well, here's the deal, and I'm going to share something with you. When you are working with an agent is obligated to present any offer that is in writing. That means if it's in writing with lipstick on a napkin, that agent has to present it. In an email, he has to present it. In a text message, has to present it. In a DM, you're sliding into their DMs, has to present it. If you write it on the windshield of their car, in permanent marker, has to present it. Any offer in writing is supposed to be presented to the seller unless the seller in writing on the listing agreement with that real estate agent or with that real estate broker, unless that seller has it in writing that they do not want any offers under X number of dollars to be presented to them, or unless they stipulate on the listing agreement with that agent that any offers not on a state-approved realtor form is to be presented to them. I will tell you that 90 to 95% of the sellers, if not more, will not have that language on the listing agreements. So listing agreements are going over there. I mean, listing agents are saying things like, I'll never present that offer. That's preposterous. That's insulting. You're wasting my time. But they have to. That's their job. Their job is to present the offer. So, Mr. and Mrs. Agent, I appreciate you sharing that with me. Now, unless you have something in writing on the listing agreement that stipulates that you are not to present an offer under a certain dollar amount or an offer that is not on a state-approved form, then I'm going to humbly request that you present my offer, or I will send my offer directly to the seller. Which would you prefer? That's your response. Yeah. All right. Bottleneck the process. So that going back to what we talked about earlier, there are some agents that are just going to bottleneck the entire process. They're going to bottleneck, rubberneck, chicken neck. They're gonna stall the process. Okay. For a variety of different reasons. Number one, some of them just don't answer the phone. They don't respond. Number two, they don't want to get yelled at. They don't want to get yelled at. Sellers are yellers, so they don't want to go present your offer, your lowball offer to the seller. They don't want to present it because then they don't want to get yelled at. But as far as I'm concerned, when I am operating as a real estate agent, as a real estate practitioner, I'm going to present all offers, because if I present that offer to the seller, all it is feedback from buyers. I'm just the messenger. I'm just presenting to you what the buyers are telling me, what they think the offer is worth, right? A final purchase price is nothing more than what the market could bear. And what the market could bear is what the buyers were offering. Period. End of story. So some agents, for whatever reason, they just don't want to get yelled at. They don't have the courage to present it. They think it's insulting, when in fact, it's really just feedback for the seller. And it could help them get a price reduction too. Okay. Another con of working directly with an agent is that the margins are less, right? The profit margins or the assignment fees are probably going to be less. Why? An agent's job is to get the highest price, the highest offer possible, and investor's job is to try to get the lowest price possible, right? So the margins are going to be less. Direct to seller. Now, this is where you are working directly with sellers. The benefits: number one, you have direct conversation with the seller, whereas with an agent, you don't have that. You're only dealing with the agent. The agent's not going to let you talk to the seller. And because you have direct conversation with the seller, there are opportunities there to appeal to their emotions, right? You can appeal towards that. You can persuade them. You can sway them on your side. And you have an opportunity for greater profit margins because you're negotiating directly with the seller. That's just part of the process. Direct to seller cons. Number one, super competitive. Very, very competitive. Everybody's talking to these sellers. Your leads are my leads are your leads, our leads are our leads. People are, they're all fishing from the same pond. So we are talking to those sellers. You're talking to those sellers. Real estate agents are talking to the sellers because they want to get business too. They want to get listings. They want to get that stuff. So it's very, very, very competitive. Obviously, some markets are more competitive than others. Expensive. It's very expensive to market to sellers, right? Getting these sellers is expensive any way you want to look at it. Even if you are picking up the phone and doing the cold calling yourself, that is still your time, and your time is more valuable than you think. So if you're doing the cold calling yourself, if you're sending out the SMS messages yourself, if you're sliding into the DMs yourself, if you're sending out mass offers using tools like the Deal Bazooka yourself, if you're doing all of these things yourself, that still takes up time. That is the consumption of your time, and time is money. I would argue, in fact, that your time is actually worth more than the money that you would spend to hire someone to do these things for you. So it's expensive. It's expensive to market to them. Advertising, pay per lead, pay per click, doing all these ads, that's expensive. So you have to keep that in mind. That's one of the cons, whereas with an agent, it's way less expensive. Because you can hop onto Zillow, you can just go to zillow.dispodragons.com, use that spreadsheet, find all the properties that are fixers in a particular state or in a particular city, and then you can call the agents and see who's willing to play ball and present an offer for you. All right? Now let's talk about the tools that you're going to need if you're going to do this virtually. Number one, you're going to need a dialer. Preferably one that includes SMS. My recommendation is you use something. Now we're just talking, individually dialing. I'm not talking about a a batch dialer or call tools. I'm talking about just a dialer, just something so that you could send out messages or call people and communicate with people when you're doing your follow-ups, okay? You doing this off of Google Voice is going to eventually create a problem for you. Google Voice will eventually shut that down. They will. And if you think that they don't see your text messages and you don't think that they hear your conversation or you don't think that they're listening to what you're saying, then you better read the terms and conditions that you agree to when you set up your Google Voice number. Use Open Phone or use Dialpad. I like both of them, Open Phone or Dialpad. I'm sure that there's other brands as well, like Ring Central or all them. But Open Phone and Dialpad, as far as I'm concerned, are two of the least expensive, best cloud-based dialing tools that include SMS so that you can send text messages out to people and not have to worry about your account getting blocked and preventing you from doing any outreach. Next thing you're going to need is data. That you will need. You will need data. Sorry. It's part of the business. So get used to that. I would venture to say that you're going to need a list. For every list of about 7,500 names, numbers, emails, you probably get one deal. Just based on my numbers that I know. Okay, so you need a list of 7,500 that you are marketing to per month, minimum 7,500 to be able to get at least one deal. And then you're going to need dedication. Dedication? Nice. Dedication. So 3Ds, right? The 3Ds. This is what we call them. You need a dialer, you need data, and you need dedication. Okay, that's what you're going to need. Get good at submitting offers. I talked about this earlier, but you're going to have to get more comfortable at submitting offers. Now, you can submit verbal offers, you can submit text offers, you can submit offers through DMs, you can submit email offers. And don't think that an offer necessarily has to be a 2-page form, a 4-page form, a 10-page form, whatever you're going to use. It doesn't have to be on a form. It can be a simple, hey, I'd be interested in making an offer at $150,000 for this property. That's an offer. Get good at making offers and making them often and making them regular and doing it every day. The more offers you make, the more likely that you're going to get some deals done and you're going to get some deals under contract. Don't be afraid of getting your offer rejected. That's another thing that I hear a lot. I hear people, they're like, this is I have a seller and they're pretty interested in an offer and they want to hear an offer from me and I just don't want to ruin it and I don't want to make an offer that's too low and it's going to insult them and it's going to get them mad at me and then I'm going to lose the opportunity. When you're brand new, it's very, very normal to feel that way. But at some point you start to realize that even if you make them an offer that's $1 under what it is that they're asking for, there's still the possibility that they could reject it. Rejection is just a part of this business. So don't worry about what they are going to say or do based on your offer. Your offer, remember, you are the buyer here. Your offer is based on what you think the property is worth in its present condition, minus the repairs, minus your fee, and for whatever you can get it to an investor for, or for yourself if you're going to fix it and flip it, or whatever you're going to do for it. So you have to do as an investor what is in your best interest. You're not here just to make the seller happy. Right? You're buying the property. When you go into the grocery store and you are going to cook a rack of lamb, you're not in there, to offend the grocery store. You're in there to buy the rack of lamb, whatever it is that you need to prepare that meal, to prepare that dish. You just have to pay it, right? Well, the beauty is in our business, you don't necessarily have to do that. You can negotiate. You can't really do that at the grocery store, right? I don't know if that analogy worked or not. I'm kind of second guessing myself. I'll work on that one. I'll come back with it in another presentation. But anyway, you can't be afraid of getting rejected. Okay, you just can't. You can't be afraid. That's just a part of the business. Again, there are going to be some people, you're going to make them full price offers and they're still going to get rejected. Yeah, somebody might come out of the woodworks and make them an offer over asking for whatever reason. And that's another thing that you need to take into consideration. There will be times where you will make an offer on a property and then a seller will tell you, oh, I got a higher offer, and they'll go with the higher offer. That can and will happen to you. And it is your responsibility to stay on top of that seller because there is at least a 30 to 50% fallout rate when it comes to investors and deals. 30 to 50% fall outright. Some people might even argue more. And so it's your responsibility to stay in contact with that seller. So if a seller tells you, I accepted another offer, one that was higher than yours, then what you do is in 3 days, you call the seller back. Hi, Mr. or Mrs. Seller. Hey, it's Paul. Listen, I know you accepted another offer, but it's been 3 days. I just wanted to check in. Did those buyers make that earnest money deposit? They'll either say yes or they'll say no. If they say yes, great, no problem. I'll check back in about 7 days to see how the inspection went. Guess what? 7 days, you call them back. 10 days, either one. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, it's Paul. Just checking back in again. I know the buyers made their deposit. I know the buyers completed their inspection. I just wanted to see how the inspection went and what's going on with the deal. And they'll either tell you, well, everything's going smooth, inspection went fine, they're going to proceed with closing, or they'll tell you something like, yeah, buyer said that they don't want to proceed with the deal. Right now, I'm just looking for backup offers. I'm speaking to a bunch of different people. You've got your opportunity again, right? It's your responsibility to follow up. You won't believe how many deals we have gotten because we just maintained communication with the seller after our offer was originally rejected, after we were told that our offer was lower and they went with somebody higher. It's your responsibility to maintain communication with that seller, and the only way to do that is to use a CRM, but I'm not going to go into that training today. Just as a reminder, you can join our Dollar Club. School.dispodragons.com, SKOOL, school with the K, school.dispodragons.com. It costs $1 to join for lifetime access. And look, you can get this information off YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Discord, WAP. You can get this information anywhere. The only difference between the way I share it and somebody else sharing it is just the different presentation style and the way I explain it. Okay, so the information is out there already. The real reason you want to be a part of our community is because of the tribe that you'll surround yourself with. You will surround yourself